Hey, what's poppin', sexies? It's your boy here, and we are back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. We're going to be doing a little podcast session today for CYL7, and with me on the hook, we got the main man, Oblivionknight. What's up, bro?
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be here. I'm really excited to talk about these units because they are so interesting as a CYL batch.
Yeah, this is definitely the most, like, well-rounded batch they've done, I think.
Oh yeah, easily. Like I think so many other CYL batches was just like put out popular character and throw cool effects on, like strong effects on them, but they weren't
Yeah.
like really interesting. These ones are like super unique.
Yeah. So, like, for an example, like when Brave Marth got it, he just looked like a god sword. Like
Yep,
they tried to just put like all the god sword stuff on him, so that's why he fell really flat for me. And then
same.
like Brave Marianne and then like Gatekeeper to me were really interesting at the time because they were doing unique stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I think for me, like Brave Marth was like the most underwhelming thing ever, and people got really mad at me for saying that. But I'm like, he's just
Right.
God Sword 55. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? Right?
Exactly.
At least like Erica was like kind of interesting. Like she was like more powerful at least. So, like it was fun to
Right.
use her.
Right.
But for me, Brave Marianne was by far like the most interesting because
Yeah.
like getting a dancer on like a mage nuke is cool.
Yeah, no, I was more like at the time I called it for Gatekeeper. I was like, yeah, he's the best one out of the batch, and then everyone was like pissed off at me about that. And I mean, look at where we are now. He's the only one that's still seeing play out of all of them.
Yeah, yeah, for the most part, I guess. Especially now, I think like before Guidance Four, like he was kind of just like
Right.
non-existent, but now Guidance Four is like definitely upped his value a ton.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's just the lack of warp bubble. Okay, so
Right, right,
we don't want to talk too much about previous CYLs here. We want
right,
to
right.
focus on the new stuff. So we're going to be talking about Choose Your Legend 7 here. We're going to talk about each unit individually. We're going to talk about our thoughts on each one of them, and then at the end, if it's even possible, we'll try to come to a conclusion on who we think is the best one. All right, so why don't we start things off, ladies first? We'll go with Corin, the second place winner for the females. So Corin's weapon is called Valus Stone. It has -1 special trigger, and then after she takes her action during the turn, this includes when she ends her turn, so you can just have her end turn and then set up all of the Dragon Vein stones. So she sets up this new effect on the terrain called Dragon Vein Stone. I'll tell you what that does in just a sec. And to her, it's going to activate within 2 spaces of her after she takes her action. And then she also inflicts all stats -5 on the enemy. She nullifies effects that guarantee the enemy's follow-ups and prevent her own follow-ups, so she has no follow-up built in. And then she also reduces damage from attacks during combat by 30% with the exclusion of AoE specials. And then she has adaptive damage, of course, being a dragon type. So the Dragon Vein Stone effect that she does, it's going to only affect your allies. I've been getting so many conflicting answers
Yep.
about this, but I'm pretty sure it only affects your allies because
Yeah.
it specifically has like the blue ally tiles around them. And then when the enemy sets theirs up, it has the red tiles around them. This is something they could have easily specified in the Fate channel, but I mean, they did not want to show the enemies using it. So okay, so
They,
what it
yeah.
does is it gives defense and res up 6 to any of your allies that are within the tiles during combat, and then it gives them a flat 10 points of special damage reduction when the enemies trigger specials on them, and then it also gives you 50% protection against AoE specials. So it's pretty strong. It's like a defense tile on the go. That's the way that I described it. So it's a pretty interesting effect, and it's a very interesting effect for an armored type unit, I think, because like up until this point, have we really had a supportive armor? I feel like all the
Uh,
armored units have been like very bland, just tanks that don't really help the rest of the units out.
yeah, typically like it's always through like the duo or harmonic skill. It's like never like actually in their base kit.
Right. Yeah, so I found that to be very interesting about her, and if ever there gets to a time where she's no longer like that good of a save unit, you could just take save out of her C skill and just have her set up the Divine Vein Stones and let a better tank do the job for her.
That's true. That's definitely true. She definitely has like support always ages better. So that's always a
Right.
good thing to have in your kit.
Yeah. So, okay. So she also has a unique A slot passive, which is called Realms United, and it has distant counter built in. If the enemies initiate combat, or if their HP is over 75% at the start of combat, she inflicts all stats -7 on them, and then she reduces damage from their first attack by 7 true points. So she gets that on the Brave attack as well if they happen to be using a Brave weapon. And it's just a pretty good A skill all around. Just like distant counter with all stats -7, and then also flat damage reduction. Pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
Yes.
the cool thing too is it works against Brave attacks, which is a big upgrade.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, a lot of every offensive unit now is either Brave attacking or they have Brave attack support from Catria or Cordelia. So
Exactly.
it's really helpful being able to have some protection against that. So, Oblivion, I'll let you lead us off. What are your thoughts on Corrin so far?
She's very strong at the moment. Like she's like really really fast. One of the things that like can stop a save unit is like that they're just kind of slow and they get like just overpowered, right? But with Corrin, because she's so fast, you can actually deny the doubles, which and a lot of times like that's just what nukes rely on. They really don't get kills in one hit typically, and so being able to just deny that double is a big deal. But also flat damage reduction. There's not many armor units that have flat damage reduction. Like it's mostly limited to infantry, like Brave Dimitri or like Asker, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So being able to have that is like insanely valuable, and especially the way it works, right, against those Brave hits. It's not just against that first hit. So I definitely love that about her. And the terrain. The terrain is super annoying to deal with.
Yeah,
Like
the terrain is
you
really
think you
nice.
have the kill. Yeah, you think you have the kill, and then she's like ends her turn, and then all of a sudden just all this terrain comes out, and it just like becomes so much more difficult to kill her. And it also makes her more deceptively bulky because like a lot of the faster armor units aren't very like tanky when it comes to defense and resistance because they have so much stats and speed.
Yeah.
But with her, like she has the higher BST thanks to being a training unit, and then she also gets that defense and resistance +6 from the terrain. So she's just like extremely tanky actually. So like she kind of gets the best of every world.
Yeah, there's not really a glaring weakness to her build, I would have to say. Like, she's very well-rounded at almost everything. Like, she's a really nice tank. She's really quick, too. And then she has the support with the Dragon Veins. So, like, where is the weakness necessarily to this unit? There's not really one. Now, of course, everything has a weakness, and
Right.
she doesn't have protection against effective damage, which is a huge deal for her. So, like, effective against armor with... This is one unit that released a couple months ago called Legendary Hinoka. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she slaps the shit out of, like, every tank. So, yeah, I mean, certain things like that. When you're running far save on armored units and effective damage is what's going to be the biggest bane of your existence. It's the reason why Brave Hector, I think, has aged so well, is because he has that protection against the effective damage. That's the major weakness to this Corrin, and I feel like her Dragon Vein Stone, while it's really nice, it's only giving her defense and res up 6 against regular attacks. Like, most of her protection is really coming from special attack damage. So if the enemies with, like, really strong physical attacks, like, another example, I guess, would be Legendary Shez 2. Like, those are the type of units that can really body this Corrin. The ones that are doing a lot of damage without the need to do special attacks on her.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something because, like, she definitely has a few weaknesses. The other thing is, like, she doesn't have Scowl, which has become, like, one of the biggest effects for armored dragons. Like, just being able to shut off, like, the pre-charged specials is really, really nice, which Corrin doesn't necessarily suffer from because she does have the flat damage reduction, but it is something to consider because, like, sometimes the nukes nowadays are just really, really strong. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous how powerful nukes have gotten. So, like, being able anyway to, like, slow down their damage really helps out. So I think that's one thing she does suffer with. The other thing is, like, unfortunately, like, every single speed unit is getting, like, outdated quicker and quicker because of power creep, right? Like, speed power creep has been, like, absolutely ridiculous this year. So I am a bit nervous that, like, maybe she gets outsped eventually because she is very fast right now.
Yeah.
But, like, when you start to get into, like, the, like, crazy speed ranges, like with, like, Summer Shamir or, like, when you start Unity stacking with Legendary Robin, then Corrin can struggle to keep up, which can be problematic.
Right. And, I mean, just to put that into perspective, I like that you bring up the speed tier creep. We literally just got Lapis, who has the same speed as this Corrin. and she's free to play.
Right.
So, like, just imagine what's going to happen a couple of months down the line now at this point. The
Right.
speed, like, all bets are off. The speed is just going to just continue to rise. So, yeah, I think that's a good little summary for Corrin so far. Now, I guess, like, my final thoughts on her is that really the Divine Vein Stone, I think, is what's going to keep her around for a while. But as far as, like, Corrin herself, I feel like she may be the one of this batch that may underperform, probably.
I agree. I think that she's going to perform extremely well right now. Like, for like the next 2-3 months, I think she'll be amazing, right? She'll be a great save unit, especially in E3's offense where you can like give her a whole bunch of speed buffs.
Yeah.
But I do feel like over time, she's going to be the one that ages the worst just because save units, like, they kind of have to like compete directly against nukes. And so like they're constantly trying to outperform each other, which makes power creep just go even faster. So I think that's like the one thing I'm kind of afraid of with Corrin for sure. But there are definitely things you can do to make her age better for sure. And like she's definitely usable. Like I don't want anyone to underestimate that. The Divine Stone is really cool. The only thing I'm really concerned about, I guess, is like if they start introducing all of these terrain effects like nonstop, like on every single banner.
Oh my god, yeah.
Then that can make Corrin worse.
Yeah, just wait for Yunaka with fog, and then
No.
you know it's coming.
Like, I know it's coming. I know it's gonna give her like 99% speed-based damage reduction or something stupid like that.
Yeah. Oh man, but what was I saying? Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. What you just said was like my exact thoughts on summoning for units, because you brought up every defensive unit, every bait unit that comes out has to be able to tank like all of the big threats. And that's just completely unreasonable. That's not going to be able to work. So in my opinion, this is like how I always have summoned on banners. I always go for offense because offense just ages better.
Yeah.
And like defense, because defense always is pressed. They have to deal with all the new stuff, and like all the new stuff is always designed to deal with the tanks. Like when Fallen Edelgard came out, and then they released like 50 units consecutively that killed her, like right afterwards. Right. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts. We said the same thing about Brave Tiki last time. We were all over like hating on Brave Tiki last year.
Oh my gosh.
But
she was, man, yeah.
Yeah, she was. I feel like that poor Tiki was just dead on arrival.
Yeah, I agree. It really sucks too, because I feel like so many people put all their hearts into getting her to actually win.
Right.
She's kind of
First of all, they dress her in baby Tiki's clothes, and then they make her suck. Like talk about throwing salt in the wound.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being one of those people that voted for her.
Right. Now, I will at least say this much though. I do feel like Corrin is a way better attempt at a bait unit than Brave Tiki was.
Oh yeah. Infinitely better. Yeah. Like I don't think they're even in the same tier of like discussion.
Right.
The thing, it's just like a mention of like just how crazy power creep can be. The other thing I will mention really quickly is though, like you can give her a hardy fighter build if you just want to live, and she goes really hard to kill. So that's an option too.
Yeah. If you want to go like the old tried and true, old reliable hardy fighter, Pavis Aegis, that stuff still works on her.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think that wraps us up for Corrin. Let's go ahead and move on to the runner-up for the men's division. So we're going to take a look at Soren up next. Now, Soren has one of the more unique effects on this entire batch. I actually think he might be the most unique one out of the batch, because what he's doing is like so out of the norm. So we'll start with his weapon. He has Archsage Tome. So -1 special trigger. At the start of the turn, it grants all stats up 6 and assign decoy to any support partner within 2 spaces of him. Or if a unit is not a support partner on his team, then he's able to just do it to the ally with the highest defense within 2 spaces of him for 1 turn. And that can stack to, if you have like multiple units with the same defense stat, you can actually give it to 2 units at a time, which is pretty cool. And if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants a bonus to all of his stats during combat equal to 5 plus the highest bonus on each stat between allies within 3 spaces of unit. And if unit's res is better than the foe's res, he gets res-based DR, so 4 times the difference between stats up to 40%. Now, as for assign decoy, what this does is if your range is equal to the enemy's range, then you're going to initiate save to trigger on allies within 2 spaces of you. So it's basically like just making your own save tank with this guy. And
All right.
it's pretty cool. You can also use it in interesting ways. You can like bypass some of the rules in certain modes like Chaos Season and Summoner Duels to have multiple save units. So that's what caught my eye with him the first time I had read his kit. And he also has a Perf A skill. So it's called Rare Talent. At the start of combat, if his HP is over 25%, he grants all stats up 7 to himself, and he disables foes' effects that calculate damage using the lower of foes' defense or res. I think this is actually a pretty clutch effect on him.
Yes, it is.
And then also, during damage, or during combat, also the following effects occur based on the value of his res minus the foe's res. So if he has 1 or more res than the enemy, he inflicts guard on the enemies. And then if he has 10 or more res than the enemies, or if the foe has 2 range, he gets a brave attack. So, Oblivion, what do you think about this Soren?
So just be clear, it's actually he actually gets anti-guard. He doesn't get guard. So like it's even better actually.
Okay, yeah. I read that wrong. My bad.
No, you're good. So I think the Soren is ridiculous. Like this is such a powerful unit. This is the unit I've been testing the most. I've been just having a lot of fun and also hating him because I keep running into him in every game when I'm playing, and he is so difficult to deal with. Like I think we all know how powerful saviors are, right? We've been pretty much like in a savior meta since they've came out to an extent, right? There's definitely been like some counters to it, but like we've pretty much saves have just been a staple in the meta. And so being able to make other units into saves is just really strong. And the crazy thing is like he's very, very adaptable with how he can make saves, because it's not just like arbitrary. You can like choose a unit to have as your save through the ally support, and then you can also have it assigned to the highest defense, which can hit 2 or more characters. So you can have a far save and a near save at the same time from Soren. And then the craziest thing to me is that if a unit, like let's say your near save dies that he made, on the following turn, he can make a new save.
Yeah.
So like he kind of like puts up like body doubles in front of him to protect himself.
Right. That's what I was gonna like liken it to. Basically, he's just like hiding behind people continuously, so you can never get to him.
Yeah. Right. It's really strong. Like it's actually like horrifyingly how good it is. And I think the other thing is like Soren is a very good nuke too. He's not like a top tier nuke, right? He's not like legendary Shez or something like that, or like whoever. But he's like right below that. And he's also really good at killing dragons. Like you mentioned, that ability to cancel out adaptive damage means that he can just hit dragons really hard. Because his resistance is so high, he can get past all like the resistance-based damage reduction, like Dragon Wall and stuff.
Yeah.
Which just lets him like shred right through them.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when we saw the units originally, your pick was Soren for the best. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so...
Absolutely.
Now, I personally don't have Soren or Corrin. I only have Gulveig and Robin, but I played a lot of Summoner Duels, so I have a pretty good general idea of how the units rank, I would say. And as for Soren, this is one question I have. Can his save effect be turned off by Thor's duo skill?
It can, yes. That is definitely one of the counters you have to like be aware of with him.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that could really put a wrench in your plans there.
Yes. It's an active buff, so it can be removed, and that's something you definitely have to consider. It kind of makes Thor better yet once again. Like not like that she had gotten bad, but like, right. Here's another reason to use her. So definitely like if you're playing SDS, that is something to consider, and maybe ban Thor if you're like gonna struggle with that.
Yeah, dude, Thor just with all these start of turn bonus effects, it's just like Thor is never gonna stop being good.
No, she's just like the all-star of SD. Like maybe like people are like she's falling off, and then this kind of stuff happens, and you're like, nope, never mind. Like you're just crazy.
And then like if that wasn't enough, she still does the stall and the exposure too, which really helps.
Exactly. Right. She just has everything, to be honest.
Yeah. Like imagine running that Summoner Duel, the Captain Seal that gives you +1 movement, and then there's Thor, and then she's just giving you 1 movement.
Oh yeah, I had that happen. It was not fun.
Yeah. So you certainly will have better opinions of Soren than me because I haven't been able to use him myself to test. But from what I've seen fighting against him, the most like annoying part of it is what you said before, where he just like keeps making body doubles. So like you're trying to attack him specifically, but he keeps on getting his other units to come save him. So like for me that was the most annoying thing about him. Like I keep killing their save units, but I'm trying to attack a specific unit on the enemy team, but they're always being
Right.
protected by something. So
Exactly.
like if I'm trying to snipe like the enemy has, I don't know, who would we say, like some unit with guidance 4 or soaring guidance that I want to get rid of to remove that jumping beacon. I'm not able
Right.
to do it because they're just continuously being saved by an endless supply of save units.
It's very, very like when it's well planned out, it's really strong. And I think the thing is like it's very versatile as well. There's lots of different strategies that you can use to take care, like to take advantage of Soren's like save effect. One of the like most annoying ones I've seen is like kind of just a save ball. You pretty much just have like an Omni tank who's like really like ripped out, like Fallen Violet or like Lucia or something like that, right? And then you have like what I've seen is I've seen Brave Cord, so like that and Brave Cord, and then you bring Soren and like a guidance unit and Fallen Maria, and it just makes it
Yeah,
really really difficult to deal with because no matter who you're attacking, they're being saved by one of the most powerful save unit, like one of the powerful tanks. And
right,
then Maria's there to give backup. So like even if you can kill Brave Corn somehow, she just resurrects Brave Corn. And then you're like, well, okay, now what do I do?
right.
Um,
So
yeah,
like here's another thing that I was thinking of with Soren too is we're so restricted on team slots
mhm,
in Summoner Duels. We only have 5
right.
units to deal with what, like 1,000+ units. Like
Yeah,
we're never going to be able to have like the perfect team. So it's very important when you're building a team in Summoner Duels that your units are just getting the optimum efficiency. They're able to handle like
right.
the most amount of things, do the most amount of things. So like you can run a certain unit that's specifically dedicated to doing one thing, but then if they're not a jack of all trades types, I feel like they're kind of missing out a
Yep,
little. So
exactly.
what's really nice about Soren is that running him allows you to not run an armored unit. You could just run a bunch of like regular good units that do a bunch of unique things and then have
Right.
them fill the support role with the save skills. So I was thinking like King Freyr with Soren, so you could get his
Yep.
start of turn buffs. Freyr is really good actually in Summoner
I hate
Duels.
him so much.
Yeah,
I hate him like he's like my most hated unit right now because he's
yeah.
just made ether rates like it's the most painful thing ever.
Yeah, I love him actually. He's really fun. So I just love the fact that they went back to him and they released him, and then he kicks so much ass too. Like they
He
did a good
kicks so
job.
much ass. Yeah. Definitely like that's the thing. Like in summer duels, I think Soren is just really strong because of like the things I was mentioning earlier. Like also being able to like turn a save like an infantry into a save unit means that like they don't have armor weakness, right? Like we were talking about with
Right.
Corrin. So you're just
Exactly.
removing that weakness, which is nice. But then when it
Yeah.
comes to Ether Raid's defense, like you were just saying, you could turn Freyr into a near save. And the one problem with Freyr was that he was like in a weird spot where he was like a cavalry unit, so he can't really be a save unit, right? But he wants to act as a frontline unit. But now with Soren, that problem just doesn't exist, right? You get the
Yeah.
best of both worlds. You get to have an
Exactly.
amazing near save and all of his powerful support.
Right. So like this is really strong in Aether Raid's defense specifically, where
Right.
now you don't have to run those booty armor units on a defense team. You could just get like an awesome, like really good support start a turn like King Freyr, and then he's gonna be your save unit. So I think that's like
Right.
a really nice thing about Soren there. And then he still like fills the nuke role too. So like you can have him
Exactly.
warp in, get him danced, and then have him attack something and probably kill it.
Yep.
Yes.
The other thing, I just saw Infantry Post put out a video on his new Ether Raid's defense. And what he was doing was he had completely abandoned armors and he was using Freyr as a near save and Duo Asker as a far save. And man,
Yeah.
is Duo Asker hard to kill sometimes,
Yeah.
especially because he doesn't have any weaknesses, right? Like he doesn't have any like armor
Yeah.
weakness or anything
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
And he nukes really, really hard. So
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
it's
like those are probably
yeah.
the two most common targets I've seen. Like every time I fought Soren, it was always Duo Asker being the far save choice. There was some like variation in who the near save was. Sometimes I was seeing
Right.
Behemoths in there. Like
Yep.
your mileage may vary with like who you see
Yeah.
as the near saver, but it was specifically Duo Asker. I want to say like 95% of the time as the far save.
The other really good option right now that not many people are talking about is Duo Ymir. Duo Ymir is really strong because you can essentially use her like a Fallen Maria, but she's better. Like she can
Right.
hit really hard, right?
Right.
And she can
Right.
take hits. And if you give her Flare, she can heal. So you hit her, right? And you're trying to get her into that Miracle Rage, and then she just heals back out of the Miracle Rage. So you can't like proc her Miracle.
Yeah, and
So like Duo Ymir is disgusting right now.
yeah. Also, another thing about Ymir over Fallen Maria is that her miracle effect passive support is not one and done. She can do it as
Right.
long as your HP
Exactly.
is above the threshold. So, like, that's really tough to deal with.
It also affects her, so
Right.
that's another thing.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah, so I mean, just a lot of disgusting tactics. For Soren, I mean, I'll come to a conclusion at the end, like who I think
Right.
is the best one. It's really tough to say in this batch. Actually, they're all pretty
Yes.
well balanced. I think Soren is, if he's not the best one, he's like almost a tie with whoever the best one is. I want to say.
Right. Yeah, no, he's really, really ridiculous. And I think you're the same, Tacho. I'm not a big Soren fan, right? I'm a massive Tellius fan. Like, Tellius is my favorite game by far, like both of them.
Yeah.
But I don't really like Soren that much, so I was like kind of like whatever on him. But then he comes
Yeah.
out and he's amazing. So now I'm like, damn it, no, I love Soren because he's so cool.
No, like, I get people commenting in my videos. They're like, "Oh, so you're a Tellius fan, so you've got to love Soren." I'm like, bro, have you even played Tellius? Do you know anything about this guy?
Oh my gosh, that's how I feel too. I'm like, there's so many better characters than Soren for me.
Yeah, dude, I'm still waiting on Gifka. I'm still waiting on Nazir. So many amazing units in Tellius that we're probably never gonna get to see.
Oh my god, Sephiron! How are we not getting Sephiron? Like, we got Winter Sephiron. Like,
Yeah.
really? Like, he's like one of those important characters. Give us a mythic.
Yeah. He totally should have been a mythic actually, but I guess he is recruitable though at the very end of the game.
I guess, but like, he's like a Shara's like husband. Like, come on, like, make him a mythic.
Yeah, how old is that guy anyway? He's got to be like 1,000 years old or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if that's not mythic, I don't know what is.
Right.
Okay, so I guess that should cover us for Soren. Let's go ahead and move on to the female division winner. That is, of course, the thickest of the thick mamas. We have Gulveig here, so very awesome artwork with this Gulveig. Now, her weapon is called the Cycle's Turn, and what it does is it enables Kanto 1. It also gives her -1 special trigger, and if she initiates combat or has an active bonus on her, she's getting all stats up 5. And she also grants attack and speed up X, where X is the number of turns that have elapsed in battle times 2, with a max of 10. So when you get up to turn 5, that would basically be the maximum of that. And then she also deals 20% true damage based on speed, and she neutralizes effects that guarantee enemy follow-ups and negate her own follow-ups. So she's got null follow-up baked in there. So it's actually, her weapon is probably the most underwhelming weapon, like, on paper, out of all the other CYL weapons, because I feel like most of what she's getting is from her B skill.
It's like the most like normal one, right? Like, it's like the most one you would see on different other units. Like, okay, yeah, you get damage and stats and NFU.
Yeah, exactly. It looks pretty similar to. Oh, actually, Cyril is like pretty similar to this. He gets.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe
maybe
Cyril was a bad example, but like Cyril, he's getting like all the stats, and then also he nullifies his penalties, and then he gets the true damage based on speed. Like, that's kind of in the same realm of what Gulveig is doing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like legendary Yuris too. Like, they're all like very similar with just minor differences.
Yeah. And then she has a unique B skill called Gold Unwinding. So what this one does is it inflicts speed and res -5 on the enemies during combat. At the start of combat, if her HP is over 50% and the unit initiates combat, which would be her, she reduces damage from foes' first attack by 60%. And if she initiated combat, she gets another action after combat. So she's one of like 3 range units that has access to Gale Force at the moment.
Yep.
And then she also inflicts gravity on herself and her pair-up cohort through the next actions after that happens. And this effect will only trigger every second turn. Well, after every 2 turns have passed. So you can't just like keep on doing it over and over. But it's still pretty strong. And especially, I mean,
really strong.
We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but like with Legendary Hinoka support, the gravity, you don't even feel that. Like, you're just moving 3 spaces all the time. You're charging in. I think like Hinoka is like turns any flyer into a god pretty much.
Yep.
So Gulveig is the first of these units that I actually do have. And from what I've seen using her, I didn't get to use her very much in Aether Raids because, I mean, the banner came out like almost at the end of the season. But from what I saw in AR offense where I was running her, she's just like a god at hit and run. She's like as good as it gets, pretty much. She also has that new Flared Sparrow skill that you can block off enemy range units with. So
Yeah.
because this was Chaos season, I was free to like kind of run whatever I wanted. I didn't have to use like booty mythic heroes. So I just ran. What I did was I had Legendary Hinoka, I had Gulvig, and then I also brought Gatekeeper along too, so I could just like shut off any
Oh,
like
okay.
like if the enemies were trying to like gain bonus movement or jump. Like there's a lot of defense teams that have Guidance 4 and like Soaring Guidance chain like jump shenanigans. So I just turned all of that shit off, and I just had Hinoka attack in, and then Gulvig can attack in, then she can cancel. I had Ninja Lin on there as well, so I could like
Oh,
pop.
nice.
Yeah, so like you can attack something and then get the Kanto and also the Gale Force with Gulvig, and then you can like snipe their duo's hindrance if you want to. And then here comes Ninja Lin just like popping her duo skill and getting rid of units. So the Hinoka Air Force team in ARO is a pretty good hit and run strat. So I got a lot of mileage out of that. Now, as far as Summoner Duels goes, I haven't actually used her in Summoner Duels yet, but I fought her a couple of times, and I think she can actually be a threat in Summoner Duels. I know a lot of people are kind of sleeping on this unit. A lot of people said she's just like fodder for her A skill, but you also got to understand she's probably one of the best users of her A skill that we have right now. So
Right.
I still think she is a pretty good unit, and from the times that I fought her in Summoner Duels, she was like always like I always had to be aware of her as a threat. Like I didn't want her to attack something and then get a second action. So she's definitely a lot better than a lot of people are giving her credit for, I would say.
She definitely surprised me how strong she just is, right? Because the thing is with like flying mages that they always struggle against damage reduction, which is like everywhere because they don't have a way to pierce it, right?
I mean,
but even so,
are you
Goldbeck is like really, really good.
You trying to say Flare didn't negate damage reduction? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking of that. Like, they could have named it something different, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the special itself is cool, but they could have named it something else. Like, just name it like, I don't know. Healing mage special.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. In Tellius, wasn't there a mage special called Corona?
Was it a skill?
I could.
It might have been a skill.
I swear, like I think Sanaki had it. She had a skill called Corona. It was like a special attack that she had there. I don't remember. I thought that was going to be the one that the mage special that turned off DR, but I mean, I guess it is what it is. Well, what are you going to do?
You're actually completely right. Yeah, it does. It's a skill you can get that negates resistances.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually that could be the one we get in the future.
Yeah. Okay, so continue on what you were saying, by the way.
But yeah, she's really like way stronger than I think people are kind of giving her credit for. The part of that is due to her A skill, which is just ridiculous. I think we'll have to have a whole discussion just about that skill because it's so stupidly busted.
Yeah, I mean, I did a whole video on that already. So
right, yeah.
I mean, the amounts of damage you're getting out of this special, even if you don't care about the tiles, which I think the tiles can be really helpful depending on the situation. Yes. Like, it's just like overtuned on how much damage this actually does. Like, you just hit the enemies, you're getting 7 free damage. If you attack again, you're getting 14 on that point.
Right.
Like, what the hell were they thinking with that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, because like the way that it can actually get around damage reduction, like every type of damage reduction is insane, right? It's like essentially like a savage blow almost.
Yeah.
Or like a poison strike.
Yeah.
So like you can just go in and just chip so many units with that, and then you're also just like immobilizing them, kind of, right? You're like putting gravity almost on like the ranged units.
Yeah.
So it's just so strong, and it allows Goldflag to do so much more damage than you would originally imagine. And the other thing is like AoE specials, right? I think that's like another thing that is like really going to be like her best build for Aether Raid's offense, because you can just go in AoE, and that 20% true damage you get based off of your speed is a lot because it gets added to the AoE. So it's going to allow her to go through like a lot of tanks. I think like the ones that are only going to like be able to like really survive, or like, you know, you're like maybe your Brave Korans who have like the tiles underneath them, right? Or like Mufasa, right, who also gets AoE damage reduction. A lot of units just can't deal with AoEs. Yeah. So I think that's going to be like definitely like one of her biggest strengths. And then like the Gale Force. The Gale Force is so underrated right now because unlike a unit like you know, Ninja Lin or like the Leafs, right, Legendary Leaf or like Silent Leaf or whatever, they all have some kind of gimmick they have to go through, right? Like Scion Leaf has to proc a special, which can be difficult sometimes because of guard or because just like the cooldown.
Right.
And then Ninja Lin has a duo skill, so that means it can be shut down by like duo hindrance and stuff.
Yeah.
But with Golvek, it just happens, right?
Yeah.
Like you just go in, it happens, you get that extra action, and it's really just powerful. Even though it does have a cooldown, it doesn't really matter because typically when you're doing those kind of strats, you're planning it out so that you can get it. You're taking out the team in that turn, or you're just like hindering them with the fire so they can't even chase after you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you combine it with Kanto, it's really, really, really good because you can go in, snipe 2 things, Kanto back, which allows you to like have a unit like Duo Crom or like any of those units who can like save her pretty much, and then they just get back. And then there's a wall of fire for them to get through, so it's like not even easy for them to chase after you.
Yeah, I mean that's what I found. I don't know if you've thought about her for like Aether Raid's defense teams. I'm thinking like I have the Hinoka line defense. I'm like just put her on there, give everybody Flared Sparrow, and then just watch the world burn. They're all like they're all just stuck on the bottom. They can't move because it's a Hinoka line, and then they're all getting melted by like 14 free damage. Even if you have saves at that point, you're going to die most likely.
It'll just take too much chip damage. Like, it's insane how much chip damage that is. Like,
yeah.
If we're talking about Flared Sparrow, I think it's just like one of the most busted A skills like, ever released.
Yeah, it's not even close. I mean, also, not only that, it's just way too lenient on the condition. You could give it to all flyers and all cavalry. Like, what?
I think that's good, though. Like, at least they didn't give it to infantry. Because if they gave it to infantry, like, it would just be ridiculous. Like, every single unit in the game would have to use it.
Yeah, but
so I think it's
Oblivion, though, they balanced it, right? Like, I mean, Flare, you can only give that to infantry.
Right.
Like, Flare is too good. Watch out for Flare, man.
Oh, I can't believe they actually did that. Like, there's no reason. They could just locked it to mages, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, it would have gave armors, like, a new specialty use.
Yeah,
cool.
like Valentine Takumi, for example.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool because, like, flyers and cavalry, in my opinion, are the weakest movement types right now. Flyers are on the uptake, so I don't know if they're like the weakest.
I mean, flyers, like you can get a ton of success with just a full flyer ball in like any mode. Every mode they work.
Right, they've got a major upgrade this year for sure. So like maybe they're like tied for second with armors, but like cavalry right now are really weak in my opinion. So them getting this like broken skill is really cool, and it goes to melee cavalry, which is like so stupid. Like, oh man, this is gonna be so cancerous with like Ira or like Brave Seliph or whoever.
Yeah.
When it comes to Golvek herself, I think she's a really, really cool unit, and she's really strong. And I think her preference being in her B slot is really nice because it does open her C slot for like Guidance 4 or Soaring Guidance 4, so you can even go like even heavier into flying teams, which is always nice.
Yeah.
The only thing is that like I think the coolest thing about Golvek is her A skill, which kind of sucks. I wish it kind of was part of her kit so that she would be more unique.
Yeah.
But it being her A skill, like you can just give it to everybody.
Yeah,
so I think it kind of like removes some of the uniqueness of her a little bit.
Right. I feel like this discussion would be a whole lot more interesting if her A skill was part of her weapon. Then like, where do we actually rank her? Like, how strong is she comparative to all the other Choose Your Legends units here? Like that would that'd be something, man. But
definitely.
Yeah, so the fact that her A skill is inheritable, I mean, as good as she is, as fantastic as she is, I've seen her, like, dominate AR. I've seen her do really well in summoner duels. I think there's not really a bad mode for her. She's just good everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, I guess Arena, because she doesn't score well, but, like, really, who cares, right? Like,
yeah, like, who the hell cares about that anymore?
The other thing I will say about summoner duels is that the really cool thing about Golvek is you can go in and kill something. Like, let's say you take out the save unit, and then she just has that extra action. And what that does is, like, it makes it really hard to trade. Because, like, you want to kill Golvek so she doesn't, like, kill something else. But at the same time, you really need to kill, like, the other units, right? Like, you might need to kill their save. Or, like, maybe, like, Barrel Catcher or something like that. So she actually is pretty good in summoner duels just because of, like, the action economy. Which I think some people are sleeping on.
Yeah, like the threat of just having units that can still act after they attack. Because, like, in summoner duels, you're usually, like, trading blows. Like, they get one of your KOs, and then you go KO one of their units. But a lot of the times, I'll try to do, like, a positional thing, like in chess, where there's an active threat unit that's on the board. But, like, I'll try to go after something else that's even more of a threat, because maybe their other threat is, like, not really active at the moment. But if Golvek can attack you and then she can act again, it's like she's right in your face. Like, what do? You can't really ignore her. You got to get rid of her.
Exactly.
So, like,
100%.
You can't target the units that you may specifically be wanting to target. So like she's also good at diverting your attention to her.
Right. That's exactly what I meant. Like it's just whenever you're trading, you always want to trade and take away their actions. You always want to take away the active unit, right? Instead of the unit who
Exactly.
just traded with you.
Right, right.
And with Goldbeck, you can't do that, which
Yeah.
is just ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. I agree 100%. So, final thoughts on Gulveig. Like, where would you rank her in this batch?
It's really this batch, like you were saying, is just so difficult to rank. I don't think there's like a clear 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's more like you kind of have to give it 1, 2, 3, 4 based off the game mode. And like
Yeah.
in specific game modes, I think Golveg might be the best of this batch. Like,
Yeah, oh,
particularly off
ARO.
offense.
Yeah. She's
Yes,
like
exactly.
She's not even. It's not even close. Like the other ones, they might be nice on Aether Raids, like okay options, but hit and run has been the play style in ARO for a very long time now, and
Yeah.
Gulveig is as good as it gets for that.
Yeah, exactly. Hit and run has just been going up in value as Gale Force has been getting kind of like countered a bit. So
Yeah.
it's very, very nice.
Okay, so I think that's good enough for Gulveig. Let's go ahead and move on to the number 1 winner for the men's division. So we have Robin up next. Not Levin Sword Robin, RIP, but we have.
I can't believe you did that. I just can't believe it.
Okay, let's make a brave Robin, but let's just give him a generic sword instead of the obvious choice. Like what? Why?
All I can think of is that they're gonna like make another Robin, like Ascended Male Robin, and they're gonna give it to him then. Maybe I don't know.
But like, what even was the point though? I mean, they just give him Levin's sword and just give him the same effect. I don't see how it changes anything.
It doesn't. Like, I don't know. I really don't know.
Like
maybe
literally, they just draw him on the art with Levin's sword and it's fine. But I mean, it is what it is.
Maybe they sent like a note to Wada and she just didn't see it. She just drew whatever sword. Yeah, like, no, it's Levin's sword, Wada, and she's like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah,
like,
no, she's too used to drawing Elebe stuff, so like she. Okay, so anyways, Robin's weapon, Deliverer's Brand, does not have -1 special trigger, which is a surprise, but in his case, it's actually quite good that he doesn't. So his weapon effect has speed up 3 flat, which is nice. And it actually helps him win some interesting speed checks there.
Yep.
And at the start of turn, or at the start of combat, he gets all stats up 5. He reduces damage from enemies' first attacks by 40%. And he nullifies effects that inflict guard on him or inflict special cooldown charge +1 on the enemies. So basically, he has built-in tempo.
Yep.
And then also, if his max special cooldown count value is greater than or equal to 3, and his attack can trigger a special, when he triggers that special, he's going to nullify damage reduction effects from non-special skills. And then also at the start of combat, if his HP is over 25% and he triggers specifically Bonfire, Ignis, or Glowing Ember, then the attack that he does is going to have adaptive damage. So that's a very interesting line. I find that very peculiar that they worded it that way. So that means in the future, we could get effects that are special specific. So, like, They could do this with, like, Iceberg and Glacies at some point. They could do it with, like, Luna and Soul, etc. So, I actually think this opens the door for some very unique combinations later, which I think is really cool.
I think that's, like, one of the best things I can praise IS for this banner in particular, is they opened up so much design space that they can use later on different units, which is, like, so nice to see, because that means that we hopefully won't be getting Omni Tank or God Sword number like 12. You know what I mean? Like maybe it'll be something unique.
Exactly. And if they can do special specific skills and effects now, like imagine we get later on down the road, we get like a new Ike that has this effect when he has Aether equipped. That would be awesome.
Right. Hopefully they don't do another Sword Ike, but the idea is hopefully the same. I'm so tired of Sword Ike.
Yeah. Or maybe like when Fallen Ike refines, then he'll get like I don't know, like triple Unity if he has Aether equipped or something. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, please give him triple Unity. He needs it.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, also Robin has a unique C skill, and this is where I think everyone's eyes were like focused immediately when we saw him for the first time. So he has tipped the scales. I think that's a Smash Brothers line. Doesn't he say that in Smash Brothers? Tip the scales.
I think he says in both games. I think.
Okay, so he says it in Awakening 2 then, right?
I think so. Oh god, I'm gonna get yelled at by Awakening fans. I'm not. I think he does.
Yeah, I don't remember, dude. Awakening came out 10 years ago. Can you believe that?
Oh no, I don't want to think about it.
I'm getting old, man. I'm starting to feel my age.
Me too. Oh my god.
All right, but anyways, so tip the scales at the start of the turn. If unit is in 2 spaces of an ally, grants rally spectrum to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit. And unit can move to a space adjacent to an ally with rally spectrum. I don't even know why that would work that way, but okay. And then that will trigger to any allies that are within 5 spaces of him. So an insane amount of reach there. That's crazy that he can warp that far. And
It's absurd. It's like completely absurd.
Yeah. Also, if he's within 2 spaces of an ally, he gets all stats of 3 during combat. So, like, as if Rally Spectrum wasn't enough, here's an extra all stats of 3. Now, Rally Spectrum, what it does is it grants all stats up 5 in combat, and if units attack can trigger a special, then you grant special cooldown reduction before your first attack, where X is equal to 1 if you have -1 special trigger or a brave attack, or X is equal to 2 if you don't have either of those things. So this is like crazy that they put this on here.
Yes.
So this reminds, it's like Diamant and like Baby Ike and like all of those guys that were pre-charging specials. So this is really cool because it's a better way to do it actually than like Times Pulse, like where you get it at the start of the turn. It's better to do it before combat, I think, because you can get around like pesky skills like Pulse Tie and stuff.
Scowl.
Yes, Scowl too. Yeah, you give the middle finger to Scowl. That's funny. Yeah, but this effect is really, really strong. I don't even know how to put it into words. There's a lot of really powerful PRF weapons that do not have -1 special trigger. So for me, like based on the way that I was playing, I was getting it a lot of mileage out of Duo Nina, because she doesn't have -1 special trigger. So you have like Duo Asker on the team. He gives her -1. You pop his Duo skill. That's another -1. And then she initiates. She gets the lethality right there. Like, that's so strong on that Nina.
That's actually really... I didn't think about that. That's actually a really good case.
Yeah, and then also, not just Nina, but I was getting it a lot on Legendary Crom, too. He doesn't have the -1 special trigger, so you can... It just gets him to his Deadeye way faster, and you don't feel as, like, pressured to run Special Spiral 4 on him with, like, Times Pulse and stuff. So I got the most mileage out of it on those two, but... Dude, to say this is a strong support, it doesn't even do it justice, man. This is so powerful. And I've been getting, like, a lot of positional masterpieces, too, with this. Like, as, like, insignificant as this may sound, at the start of turn, when you're setting up in Summoner Duels, like, the first turn is mainly just try to get as many guys into the box as you can. Like, just being able to warp into the box with Robin, like, from as far away as possible, I found that to be pretty useful, and it can get you, like, an early +2 in points really fast, which I think is pretty valuable, even though it seems like it's nothing, right? So
no, like, I think, yeah, when you play Summoner Duels, like, the first turn is, like, a lot of times, like, the turn that determines the winner, because you get to just control positioning, right?
Right.
And so being able to warp 5 spaces is, like, insane, because it can just allow you to, like, either have the perfect opening that you don't have to like rely on other things for, or it allows you to just do a surprise attack and people just don't see it coming. So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's nothing not to be underestimated.
And also not only that, but on the early turns, they're even if they have Gatekeeper or Myrrh, she's not going to be close enough to stop him from jumping the full space on the first turn. So like it's just the amount of mobility and like positioning you can get with him on that first turn is so strong. That's what I've found from using him. What are your thoughts on him so far?
I think he's really ridiculous, to be honest. Like, I think the thing is, a lot of people are like considering him a god sword or omni tank, and he can do that, but I don't think that's the direction you should take.
No, I mean,
I
feel like if you build him as a god sword, you're like taking away from like all the things that make him good. Almost.
Exactly.
So like
exactly.
I don't know why you would want to do that. Like I've seen people say, "Oh, just give him like Vital Astra so he ramps into it with his C skill." I'm like, dude, do you not want adaptive damage? Like, is that not a thing you want? Do you not want him to just warp in and just nullify DR, just pop something?
Right. I think that's the problem. Is like, I don't know why so many people are like fixated on doing that. And it's like, you want to take advantage of all the things that are unique about him. Right. And really what's unique about him is his ability to nuke and his ability to support. Those are like the two main things. So that's what you should focus on, in my opinion. And he does it really, really well, right? Like, adaptive damage is like not to be underestimated, and then DR piercing is just stupidly powerful. Like, if you don't know how powerful that is, like, I don't know what games you've been playing, but like, being able to just go in and just annihilate anything pretty much is really good. And being able to warp is what makes it also insane, because like it just allows him to be very flexible in his placement. Because a lot of like supports need to be within 2 spaces, right? Like all the time. But Robin doesn't necessarily have to be, right? Just to give the rally spectrum, but then after that you can kind of like move around and do what you need to.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
when it comes
continue.
When it comes to tip the scales, like rally spectrum is just stupid. Like the thing is, right? Like consider like legendary Eliwood, right? Legendary Eliwood gives bonus doubler, which is effectively is +6 to all stats typically, right? Like you could technically get like 7, but it's not going to happen very often.
Right.
And then it also gives you like no panic and Kanto, which are really nice, like not to be underestimated. But the main effect most people use it for is the stats.
Yes.
Well, Robin does the same thing, right? But it's also in combat stats, which means it can't be turned off by like lulls or like dulls or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is really good. But the insane thing is the special cooldown. Like special cooldown is just how the meta is like currently revolved around. Like everyone is trying to spam their specials, have their specials up all the time. And this is a way to spam specials without having to worry about guard or tempo or any of the effects that like pretty much make special cooldown like fair, right? Like this is essentially just a cheater skill that you can use to get your specials up all the time.
Yeah.
So like it's just like ridiculous support. I think that's what you should be focusing on, right? A support unit who can nuke really hard. And that's just where Robin, like his placement is, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also he kind of lacks the necessary tools that some of the God Swords have that make them God Swords, I would say. Like, for example, Fiorm has the Null C and the Distant Counter built in. So, like, that's, like, her advantage. Then you have the Ice Mirror special, which is specific to her, and it's pretty nice for the true DR that they can't pierce. Then you have, like, Fallen Byleth with her Vantage effect, and then she's got the Bulwark, so she can, like, really stand in front, and then she has also Divine Pulse, which is, like, broken beyond belief. So that's, like, kind of her thing. And then there's also, who's another really good God Sword? Lucia. Lucia's really strong, so, like, she just turns off everything. So it's like, you can't do anything, man. It's like 1 versus 1, Fox Final Destination, 3 stock only. you remember that meme?
Yeah,
like that's basically Lucia in a nutshell. So yeah, I mean, Robin, he's not really doing all of that. He doesn't have like those types of effects. He's more so focused around like just popping something with his surprise jumping. He's all about supporting the team and getting your other units better. So that's what I've found so far with him.
No, definitely. Like the thing is, like I don't think a lot of people consider is like the reason why God Swords could come back into the meta or like Omni takes in general was because they got so many effects that allowed them like stack ridiculous damage reduction and like godlike reflexes to get like non-pierceable damage reduction, right? All those effects. Robin doesn't really use those. Like he wants to use big specials. That's his thing. He wants to use big specials. Can he have some DR? Yes, he has good DR. But you also have to consider like all the good nukes nowadays have DR as well, right? Like Remote Sparrow, Remote Mirror. Those are really good right now because they just allow you to survive. And so Robin having that DR just allows him to go in, survive hits, and also just blow things up, which is what you want.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I brought this up, but I was running like a full Awakening team. I tried to
yes. Oh my god.
Yeah. I tried like a whole bunch of different things out, and I had a team where it was like legendary Crom. I had Robin on the team, and then I had Winter Cordelia, right? So I was getting the like treachery. You could get treachery.
Yes.
You can get like jumping. You can get the dual strike. Like, all of those things, it was working out really well. Specifically, dual strike with Robin, where he can just jump in. He's going to be adjacent when he jumps. So, like, whatever he attacks, he's instantly getting that brave attack on. So, like, things like that, I was having a lot of fun doing with him.
Awakening is just stupid right now. I'm going to be honest. Like, Awakening is, like, the most favorited game at the moment, and they just get everything. Like, you could make insane Awakening teams, and, like, Cordelia giving treachery to all of them is stupid. The other thing is that Robin works really well with Robin. Like Legendary Robin and Brave Robin are just disgusting together. I hate it. I just don't want to see it. Like I want to ban it anytime I see it because it's so gross.
Well, I mean, you can't ban it in favor duels, but in SDS,
yeah, exactly. That's where I run into it. I'm like, do I just surrender? Because I don't want to deal with this right now.
No, there's like so many disgusting comps you can run. So like in SDS, it's like whoever has the bigger box, like who's got like the deepest barracks. you're gonna run into like a whole bunch of nonsense now, especially post CYL7. I think where you're gonna have your team with like Sorin, Duo, Asker, and stuff, and then you're gonna have one team with like Robin and like all the Awakening codes, like double Robin, like you said. Then you're gonna have the Hinoka line with like Gulvig and like all of that. So it's like, what do you even veto anymore? What do you veto?
No, yeah, I hate it. Like I can't even like. Because there's so many units I just want to ban immediately, like Legendary Robin, Fall Maria, Duo Thor.
Right.
But then there's just so many other units you're like, I can't deal with. It's gotten to the point where like everything is so powerful, you kind of just have to like learn to deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, so when we first saw the units, my original consensus was that Robin was the best of the batch, and honestly, well, I haven't gotten a chance to use Sorin and Corrin, but I've fought against them, and honestly, I think I might have been right on that. I think he's still, I might still consider him the best of the batch after like all the fights that I did. And if there is a number 2, I think Sorin is like really close. If he's not better, he's like really close, I think.
Right. For me, I said that I think Sorin was the best. I still think Sorin is the best. I think the thing with Sorin is that he is a mechanically difficult unit to use. You really need to plan out things and really take advantage of the strategy, right? You have to really plan out your team and how you can hand out saves and everything to take full advantage of Sorin's strengths. And so I don't think he's the easiest to use, but I think he has like the highest like ceiling of power. That's kind of how I see Sorin.
Yeah.
And then for me, second place would be like Robin, I think. I think Robin's the second strongest. Because like his support's just broken. Like it's just stupid.
Yeah. We're pretty close then on our opinions.
Yeah.
We have them both at like basically 1A and 1B.
Right.
And then like I would say Gulvig is like a number 2, but a pretty close number 2. Like it's not as far off as people might think. And then I think Corrin is in last place, like I had originally called it. What were your original thoughts on her?
On Gulvig?
No, on Corrin.
Okay, so my original thoughts are pretty much the same as I thought. Like she is a really strong save unit at the moment, but the problem is just save units don't age well. So I think that if you're like a newer player who doesn't really understand strategy all that well, or understand all the like complexities, because there's a lot of complexities in Fire Emblem Heroes now.
Yeah.
I think Sorin or Corrin could be your best choice because she is just a unit you just slap down, right? Like you're just like, here's my save. She does save things. She's really good at it. So I think that's a good choice for you if you are a newer player. But I just think that like when it comes to aging, I think Corrin will age the worst. The only way I think that she doesn't age the worst is that if they release a seasonal Emblem, because then that immediately turns off Sorin's cool effect, right?
Well, I mean, just run Freyr.
I guess, I guess that would work. I guess. So there are counters, I guess, but I think either way, it would just make him less prevalent, right?
Right.
So I think that's like the only way Sorin could age worse. But I think Corrin just is gonna age the worst overall. And the other thing is like even if Corrin is the best save in the meta, which I'm not 100% sure she is, she's probably like top 3 at the very worst.
Yeah.
The thing is just like how much better is she really? Like, do you really need another save unit?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't see how she's gonna perform like so much better than like Ascended Tiki or not Ascended Tiki, like Harmonic
Bridal.
Tiki.
Yeah.
Then like to the point where it's like, is she like so much better that you really need her? Like if you have a Harmonic Tiki already, you're probably just fine. Like you're good to go.
Right. That's exactly how I feel. Like the thing is like they just swamped us with so many saves. Like the difference between like Famortis, Bridal Tiki, and this Corrin, and like a few others, like Anankos, I guess. Like it's not that big of a difference. It's like a 5% difference in power, maybe. You know what I mean? Like there's like certain situations they excel in.
Right.
It's just not that big of a deal for me, even though the terrain is cool. I do like the terrain. I don't want people to think I don't.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like Sorin and Robin, they are just so unique in what they can offer a team, and no one else can offer that. I think that just makes them more powerful overall, and I think that's gonna make them age better too.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I brought this up while we were talking about Corrin here, but like earlier to recording this, we were just like talking about our games that we played. I was thinking like if ever there comes a time where Corrin ages out as a save unit, you could still like kind of offense with her and support with the Dragon Vase. Like just take off the save skill on her C skill, run like something more offensive. like
Yep.
maybe like red feud or colorless feud or whatever, and then she can still support the team by just setting up the Dragon Vein tiles. And also, like if you're running her that way, she's kind of fast still, so like you could, if you're running her on a guidance 4 jumping chain, you can have her actually like player phase kinda because she's got that speed. Counter Roar can be pretty effective on player phasing, so like
Yep.
interestingly enough, I feel like even when she ages out as a save unit, she could still have some utility there. So I think they did a pretty good job with her design.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing about this Choose Your Legends compared to any other. Every other Choose Your Legends, there's always been a unit who's just the loser, right? Or like
Yeah.
the unit who just falls behind immediately.
Uh-huh.
Last year it was Brave Tiki, right? And then other years, I don't know. There's always been a unit that kind of just falls off immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Brave Alm when he came out, right? Brave Alm was not good when he came out.
I mean, dude, Choose Your Legends 3 in general was not
Yes. No, it was not. It was not. But my point is, like, I think this group of Choose Your Legends heroes are all very, very good. Like,
Yeah.
I think no matter who you are a favorite of, they're going to be perform better than comparatively to any other year.
Right.
I don't think you have to worry about them getting power creeped immediately, right? Like, I don't think it's going to be like a 2-month, 3-month thing, hopefully, unless like IS goes crazy. So I think that's the best part. And I think when it comes to Golvek, I don't know. I think Golvek's probably the third best. I definitely like her more than Korg, absolutely, because she's just so cool. She's so offensive. I love Gale Force and Hit and Run. It's so much fun to me. And Flared Sparrow, even though it isn't like exactly hers, right? She introduced it, but like you can give it to other people. It's such a ridiculous skill.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
so just having it on her always
and,
is just like something you have to think about.
Yeah, and like we said, I think she is one of the best users of it too. So like,
oh yeah, no,
even if you inherit it on somebody else, they're probably not using it better than she does, unless they're Hinoka. But like, I mean, let me stop with the legendary Hinoka talk. Okay, so
no man, I don't blame you.
I think we are in a good enough spot to call it. We rambled on there for about a good hour. So, any final thoughts you want to put out there?
I guess my final thought is like, no matter who your favorite unit is, like make them work. They definitely have options. Have fun with them because that's like the most important part of Fae, in my opinion. Is just like having your favorites and like making them like ridiculous and enjoying them, right? Like don't worry too much about the meta. Like it definitely matters, but not as much as like having fun. Because like you can make anything work, believe me. Like I've seen stupid things.
To be honest with you, I feel like in recent times they've gotten a little better with that, like the use your favorites thing, because a lot of the power creep we've seen recently has been on the passive skills, and those are inheritable. So like you're free to give like guidance 4, soaring guidance, like flared sparrow, like all this, not Gambit 4, another really interesting skill.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So like I feel like we're getting to the point slowly where, and also with arcane weapons too, like you can really just build your favorite and they're gonna kick ass. So by all means, just like build whoever makes you the most happy, and it's gonna give you more enjoyment out of the game instead of like summoning for like nonsense that I hate this unit but I think they're broken so I'm gonna summon. Like no, you don't want to be that guy, because then you're gonna feel bad when you summon and then you get shafted and you don't get anything.
Yep. I can tell. I have experience with that, so definitely.
Yeah. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap up there. So definitely check out Oblivion's channel. There's gonna be a link to his channel in the description of this video. I think he has an upcoming video on rearmed hero skill inheritance, so that's gonna be a good one to check out. Definitely make sure you guys watch that video when it drops. And I think that's gonna wrap us up. So this is your boy Tacho signing out. Oblivion also signing out. So take care, fellas. I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.
Bye, everybody.